Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Ishani Bihari and with me today is Professor Arjya Chakravarty, Program Chair of the one-year PGPM in Human Resources at SOIL. She has worked in the field of human resource management and business strategy for the last 25 years and has been responsible for creating HR systems and driving HR interventions in highly challenging and diverse environments. We're truly honored to have her as one of the leaders in the SOIL family. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you, Ishani. Thank you for the kind and generous words.
So, ma'am, for the last 11 years or so, you've been teaching, doing a lot of research. How did you make the switch from a HR strategy corporate role into teaching?
For me, it was like a leap of faith, I should say, because when I came into academics, it was not with the purpose that I'd remain in academics for the next few 2 decades of my life. I started working in a manufacturing organization, automobile manufacturing. I was one of the first girls to be recruited by that organization, and then I shifted to FMCG and white goods company, and then later on I worked with Godrej for a long time, and then later on I worked for a larger BPO. And when I was trying to reflect back on my career at that point of time, I thought that I had done a lot of HR. It was most organizations were still developing their HR function, and there was a lot more to be done. Howsoever, I think I thought that if I can teach and I can be with students, that would be my way of contributing, because I would be building up students and managers who can contribute a lot more to these organizations as they were growing. So I thought my value add can be to a lot more organizations and to the corporate world. And that could happen if I can move on to more of research academics and teaching. But it was not so clear when I shifted. It was a leap of faith, and it has worked well.
That sounds great, ma'am. So you've accomplished so much throughout your career. What would you say are some of your proudest moments?
I frankly think I've accomplished nothing. With age, you have to keep on doing something, otherwise you are worthless. So I have worked in the corporate HR for a long time, for about 11 years, and then taught and done my research in academics. The proudest moments have been when my students have done well, actually. As alum, when they come back and they bring flowers, or they wish you on your birthday, or they just wish you on Teachers' Day and come and say that what they learned in the classes were actually what is helping them in their life. Those are truly my proudest moments.
Amazing, ma'am. So what attracted you to SOIL? And SOIL has such a unique philosophy. So what is it that sort of pulled you in?
To tell you the truth, SOIL was serendipity, and I came here to attend a conference. But I really liked what I saw and what I heard. And I was not initially aware of the philosophy, but I just saw students who were eager, enthusiastic, participating, and trying to bring in their own ideation into that conference.
Yeah.
And what I really like about SOIL is the focus on continuous learning and continuously challenging itself to become one of the best in in the world. So I think that itself is a huge growth and learning opportunity for each and every person who comes in contact with SOIL.
Yeah, I think that's something that attracted me as well, and enabled my decision to join this place as well. Your students always share how much they enjoy your classes. So how do you keep them engaged? What would you describe your teaching style like?
It is, it has developed over the years. And what I think really works is if you have very updated content, because these students are going to work with organizations or have their own businesses or be with startups in about a year. So the content has to be extremely relevant in the class. and that makes them sit up with their ears or all ears. The second part is the student should be able to relate to the content. They should be able to relate it to examples from their past work life or their personal life. And also, if the theory and the frameworks and the models are something that they imbibe well, either through an assignment or a project or a case study or something in which they, their cognition is engaged,
Yeah.
it will then translate into their behavior.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
you
and a
mentioned,
little bit of fun while learning, I guess.
of course.
Otherwise, I think I'm also a person who can't be too serious all the time. So a little bit of fun interspersed with a little bit of good thinking and good content, good learning can really create a nice transformation journey and a beautiful, beautiful one.
Yeah. So you mentioned, good content and specifically industry relevant content. And I know that this is something that you're constantly working on. So could you tell us something about some of the courses you might have created in the last few years, how you went about it, something interesting in there?
Yes, I have created new courses, but also to tell you that sometimes the name of the courses remain the same. It will still be organizational behavior, human resource management, learning and development, employee engagement, organization change and transformation. But the content has undergone a complete change. And today, I think most of us will have to teach like a post-COVID era, before COVID and after COVID. So it will be like AC and BC. So that will be the new way of teaching. And so, for example, when you talk about the way organizations are looking at their employees right now, the work from home, um, you know, uh, engagement of the employees.
Right.
How do you measure performance of these employees? So the newer ways, the newer research has to be there before the students and has to be reflected upon, contemplated upon, so on and so forth. One of the courses that I have developed is diversity and inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
That's my research area, my PhD topic, and I work on gender and inclusion, and from a very neutral perspective. So I was asked to develop a course for soil, and that is what I'm working on.
Mm.
And hopefully, we already have one of our pillars as diversity in soil. So hopefully, I should be able to put in some genuine thinking and genuine cases which have happened at soil itself into this course.
Yeah, I think diversity and inclusion are such important topics in this world. There's so much conversation happening in terms of inclusion and just sort of equality around. And I think this kind of a course is going to be highly critical to study and for people to understand these nuanced topics very well. So I'm glad you're sort of working on that. And also, on the topic of COVID itself, there's this, classes are online now. There's so much, there's so different ways of teaching and learning that are happening. So how have you adapted to that? How are you sort of, I mean, the classes have already started for soil as well. So how are you managing this new way of communicating with students and teaching?
I think soil has been very proactive. And we decided right when the lockdown started that we are going to go online and we are not going to stop, our normal way of functioning, which is classes and students' engagement. So even as the last batch was passing out and we took sessions with them, we welcomed the new batch on 22nd of April. Personally, what it meant for us is that we had to reprogram ourselves. We had to reprogram the way we work from home, and we had to relook into our courses because when you teach online, you have to devise ways of keeping the class engaged. Again, content is the most important thing, but you also have to look at shorter exercise assignments, which is not just post class, but it is in the class, during the class itself. So I had to relook into the way, I had to adapt to the pace of the class because it was a virtual class. When you take a physical class, your pace is, more or less decided because what meets the eye is what is happening. In a virtual class, everything does not meet the eye. Also, the fact that all of us are going through a phase which is very unprecedented and which is, which is very uncertain.
Yeah.
And the case is, of course, similar with our students. They may be going through such phases. They are young adults. Their families are going through such phases. So we have to be inclusive of the factor that the social distancing part and the lockdown is not easy for many. So I had to really relook into the way I teach. I had to become more engaging. I had to take up more one-on-one sessions with the students, because students are also new. They don't get to know me personally. So you have to open up to them in a way that they feel less anxious,
Yeah.
and focus on the curriculum.
Yeah, I have to say it's been inspiring to see how quickly and how efficiently the staff and the administration has adapted to this new normal. And my interactions with the students also show that they are enjoying the classes and they're also adapting themselves. So it's on the right path, I think.
Yeah. And the students are very much more tech savvy than us. So we had to adapt to that part. That goes without saying, that we had to adapt to newer ways of working.
Wonderful. Ma'am, you're also in charge of the Social Innovation Program at SOIL, where our students regularly work with NGOs and learn to make a positive social impact. Can you tell us a little bit about, what are your big goals with this unique experiential element of our curriculum?
So Social Innovation Program was started from the day SOIL started its journey. And I took over as a chair of this program last year. Even before I came in, this program was beautifully carved out with some exceptional NGOs who work with diverse causes, and they have been associated with SOIL. And Professor A.N. Bhattacharya has been very instrumental in building up this program. What we do in this program is that we invite NGO partners and to SOIL, and we ask them about how our students can volunteer for their causes. And once we have had this kind of a discussion, our students go and work at these NGOs for about 16 to 20 Wednesdays throughout the year. And as they go and work in the NGOs, they are directed by the NGO and by me as to how they can relate better to the cause and contribute to the NGO for this period.
Right.
The basic idea is to develop compassion. And we know that compassion can't be taught. I'm sure that many of us from our own family backgrounds and our community have already picked up compassion. But this is a kind of curriculum which forces them to look at compassion in a way that they can contribute. So it's more than empathy, it's about contributing to the cause.
Right.
And therefore the seriousness is built up by giving it a double credit, than any other cause. And the students come back and sometimes they describe their moments at the NGO rather than what they actually contributed. So that's a beautiful journey which happens from the students.
Right. Wonderful. Sounds amazing. A lot of people know that you're an accomplished classical singer. And, we've been really lucky to hear you sing. So just wanted to know some of the artists that inspire you, or, if you could share some of your favorites with us so that we can also enjoy that music.
I am not an accomplished singer. I sing as if nobody is listening. I was trained in Hindustani classical music from the day I started writing ABCD, I guess. So it's in my blood, and I think it's a beautiful way of expression. And there's so many artists. As a Bengali, of course, I'm inspired by Rabindranath Tagore and his poetry and his singing. And some of the recent singers who have really inspired me is the versatility of Asha Bhosle and Shreya Ghoshal. I also listen to MS Subhalakshmi and the lot more. There is Farida Khatun, there is Shubha Mudgal, there's Kishori Amonkar.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to stay in Lucknow for 3 years, and that kind of gave me a next level of, exposure to classical music.
Wow, I think I'll have to explore those as well. I mean, that sounds amazing. So thank you so much, ma'am. As we come to an end to this conversation, I just wanted to ask one last question. What would your advice be to future HR professionals who might be listening to us right now?
I am nobody to advise, but all I would say is that in the organizations that I have worked for, I saw that bureaucracy and took up a lot of time because you keep on waiting for things to move instead of listening to ideas from the middle management or the lower management. And the COVID times, this pandemic has taught us that humanocracy, as Professor Hamill calls it out, it's time that humanocracy is, precedes bureaucracy, that we give importance to human beings, our talents, the way they have adapted to this entire COVID, and the way they have contributed to organizations. To understand the fact that the world is not going to be the same again. We are used to a different way of working with less pollution and cleaner water and a cleaner environment. It's time to look at the three Ps. We all have sustainability agendas in our organizations, but I'm not sure how many organizations do drive it. So human resource professionals have to get on to a new playing ground. They have to, some organizations never agree to people working from home. Even during, maternity and post-maternity, you were not thought of somebody who could contribute. Now, organizations really need to relook at this, and if they don't, then they will be left behind. And human resource professionals need to develop a much more strategic perspective to the way in which organizations are relooking into their business models. They need to really up their game and have a humanistic way of working. Listen, listen, listen to your employees and to your other stakeholders is what I would say.
Wonderful, ma'am. That's sound advice. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time and for this lovely conversation. I definitely learned a lot, and I hope you also had a good time.
Thank you, Ishani. Thank you for doing this.